You ever walk into a room so tense you swear the air itself is about to snap? That was the scene. 15 engineers, shoulders hunched, eyes darting everywhere, but at their boss, and a CEO who looked like he'd rather be facing down a tornado than this mess. There's a certain silence that falls when everyone in the room knows they're in over their heads. And that morning at Bennett Auto Tech, you could practically hear it buzzing in the wires. Matt Bennett, the guy with his name on the building, stood there with his arms crossed, demanding answers his best people couldn't give. The new self-driving car, his pride and joy, was acting up, drifting off course, glitching out, refusing to play nice with the high hopes and big money riding on its launch. 3 weeks, countless tests, and the smartest folks in the company were stuck saying, maybe, and we think, while outside, investors circled like sharks and a storm rolled over the skyline. Like fate itself wanted in on the drama. Then his phone buzzed. The nanny was here. For Matt, it was a brief lifeline, a reminder of a world outside this pressure cooker. Out in the lobby, lights softer, nerves a little less raw, stood Kelly. Rain in her hair, one hand holding the house key, the other clutching Ava's tiny palm. Just here to grab the key, she smiled, and Ava chimed in, all brightness and bounce, begging to see the new car. Matt hesitated. He was still carrying the weight of $1 million problem on his back, but a look from his daughter softened him. And next thing you know, the three of them are wandering through corridors, drawing side eyes from the engineers who didn't notice the woman about to change everything. Down in the R&D lab, the air still tasted like stress. Ava made a beeline for the prototype, her boots squeaking on the floor, and Matt tried to explain the car's issue in 5-year-old language. It's supposed to know where to go, but sometimes it gets confused. Like me at bedtime, Ava replied, and even Matt cracked a smile. Kelly just watched, eyes quietly tracking the chaos on the display, colored lines snaking across a city map, the car's uncertain journey mapped in digital confusion. She didn't say much at first, just watched. Then, in that gentle way of hers, she asked if anyone had checked whether the car was getting mixed signals from too many sources. Maybe all those city towers talking at once were confusing the poor thing. You could have heard a pin drop. An engineer pulled up the data, and sure enough, there it was. Every time the car went haywire, it was being tugged in 2 directions by overlapping signals. It wasn't broken. It just didn't know who to trust. Kelly had seen it in seconds. No code, no fancy title, just her eyes and that quiet mind ticking away. It hit Matt like a lightning bolt. This woman, the one who watched his kid and never asked for more, had just solved what his whole team couldn't. He asked her how she knew, and she shrugged. I used to work on systems for machines that navigate. Understatement of the year. But before Matt could dig deeper, Ava puffed up with pride. Told you she was super smart. The lab exploded into motion, the whole team suddenly hopeful, scrambling to patch in Kelly's idea. Meanwhile, Kelly just went back to being Ava's anchor, as if saving the company was just a footnote in her day. Back in his office, Matt pored over her file. MIT grad, aerospace engineering, computer science, vanished from the industry without a trace, now living simply as a nanny. It didn't add up. That night, over mugs of tea, he asked her the question burning in his chest. Why walk away? Kelly's answer was raw and steady. Her mom died. Her little brother Leo was left paralyzed by an accident, and she chose family over fame, stability over ambition. No drama, just fact. Matt realized he was sitting across from someone who knew exactly what she valued, and it shook something in him. Most people chase titles, spotlight, applause. She just wanted peace, and still, somehow, she was the one holding up the world for the people she loved. The next day, Matt offered her a consulting job. Flexible, part-time, come in when you can. Kelly smiled and declined. Her family still needed her, and sometimes quiet was worth more than any title. But the decision hung between them, unresolved, until Ava, wise beyond her years, handed Matt a crayon drawing of the car, with Kelly right there making it smart again. You should let her fix more stuff, Ava insisted. Kelly returned, terms set by a kindergartner. 3 days a week, no titles, no press. Matt agreed, and just like that, The company had a new silent force on the team. Kelly didn't strut or take over. She listened, guided, taught the engineers not just what to do, but how to see problems differently. "You think in systems," Matt told her one day, watching her untangle another crisis with calm precision. "I think in people," Kelly replied. "Machines just happen to listen faster." And somewhere in those long days, the line between boss and employee, family and friend, began to blur. They cooked together, shared stories, and laughed in the quiet way people do when they finally feel at home. There were days at the park, lying in the grass with Ava, naming stars, and letting worries melt away. Nights driving home, Kelly asleep with Ava safe in her arms, Matt glancing in the rear view and feeling a pang of something like hope. It was slow, honest, never forced. When the media storm hit, headlines about the genius nanny, the CEO's secret weapon, Kelly hated the attention. She didn't want to be famous. She just wanted her life back. Matt saw how it tore at her, so he stood up in front of the whole company, told the real story, not about a hidden genius, but about a woman who chose family over glory and still saved them all. He announced the Leo Scholarship Fund in her brother's name, for kids who had to put dreams on hold because of life's curveballs. The applause was real this time. No hype, just honest respect. Later, at the hospital by Leo's side, in the hush of worry and care, Matt and Kelly found a different kind of connection. No need for words, just a shared silence that said everything. Matt realized what he'd found wasn't just a brilliant mind, but a quiet, enduring love, the kind that grows in the corners of everyday life, not in grand declarations. After Leo's recovery, Kelly's influence at the company only grew, her name appearing quietly on patents, her guidance steadying the whole team. Ava's essay, scrawled in purple crayon, "My family is my daddy and Kelly and Leo and me," said it better than any award could point. One evening, Matt, tired of waiting, slid a simple silver band across the kitchen counter. "Let's not just raise a child together," he said. "Let's build a life." Kelly didn't need to say yes. She already had, every day, in every small kindness and quiet strength. In the end, it wasn't the headlines or the genius fix that mattered. It was the family they built in the spaces between chaos and calm, in choosing each other day after day. So here's the real question. What would you have done in Matt's shoes or Kelly's? Is it better to chase the world's applause or to choose what matters most when no one's watching? Drop your thoughts below. What's the real measure of success? The world's praise or the love you build in the quiet places? You know, I used to think the hardest thing in life was figuring out the science, solving some big puzzle, and then you're done. You move on. But after everything went public, I learned quick. The hardest puzzles are the ones that mess with your heart, your sense of self, your place in the world. That first week after my name was splashed all over the news, it was chaos. Reporters everywhere, friends I hadn't heard from in years suddenly popping up, some to congratulate, some just wanting a piece of the story. I remember walking into the kitchen that Tuesday morning, hair a mess, trying to get breakfast started, and there's Matt reading an email on his phone, expression somewhere between pride and worry. He handed me a cup of coffee, said, "You ready for this?" And I almost laughed, because how do you get ready to have strangers judging your every choice, your every silence, even the way you tie your shoes? At first, I tried to keep my head down. Ava still needed to get to school, Leo's therapy was every Thursday, and Matt had enough on his plate with the board asking if the Kelly effect could be turned into a PR campaign. The execs wanted photo shoots, interviews, speaking tours, make the company look good, boost the stock, turn my life into some viral inspiration. But that was never me, and it was never going to be. Every time I walked into headquarters now, people would pause mid-conversation, glance my way, whisper. Most were kind, some just curious, but a few. Well, you could tell they didn't love the idea of a nanny appending the pecking order, solving what no one else could. I kept showing up anyway. Not because I had something to prove, but because I promised myself and Matt and those engineers, especially the young ones who kept asking, "How did you see what we missed?" that I'd help as long as I was needed. You know what I mean? Sometimes you stick around for the work, but mostly you stick around for the people. But the internet never lets go of a good story. Suddenly, there were forums dissecting every piece of my background, old college projects getting shared. Where's she been all these years? Threads popping up like mushrooms after rain. And then came the twist no one saw coming. A high-profile podcast host invited me on, live, millions of listeners. At first I said no, but Matt convinced me. It's your story, Kel. You get to tell it your way. So there I was, heart pounding, Matt on the other side of the glass, Ava's drawing in my pocket for luck. The host leaned in, grinning. So, Kelly, what's it like being a viral genius? Does it change how you see yourself? I took a deep breath. Honestly, I don't feel like a genius. I'm just someone who cares enough to look twice, to listen when others are busy talking. He pushed, asking about regrets. Was I sorry for stepping away from a promising career? Did I feel guilty for not saving the company sooner? Let me back up a sec. Regret is a funny thing. You can chase it your whole life, let it eat you alive, or you can learn to stand up and say, I did what I thought was right. That's all I told him. Family came first. Leo needed me. Now Ava and Matt do too. And that's not small, not a backup plan, but the main event. And there was this moment after the recording, walking out under the bright lights, when Matt caught up and just squeezed my hand. No words, just that silent promise. We're in this together, but the world doesn't always reward good intentions. Suddenly there were think pieces. Should tech companies recruit caregivers? Do women only succeed when they sacrifice themselves? Questions that stung, not because they were about me, but because they missed the whole point. I wasn't trying to be an icon. I was trying to be useful, to build something real. The pressure got heavier when Leo relapsed. Nothing drastic, just a scary setback. But for a moment, all the headlines, all the meetings, just faded away. I sat by his bed, just like I did that first night after his accident, holding his hand and promising, you're still my why. No headline changes that. Matt offered to pull me off the project, even fly in more help. But Leo shook his head. I want you to finish, Kel. You belong there. That kid, stronger than he knows that I in the meantime, the company was changing. Engineers who used to roll their eyes at soft skills now started asking for my input, even on things outside my title. The scholarship fund took off. First a handful of applicants, then dozens, then so many stories of students who dropped out to care for someone they loved. Kids who never fit the usual mold but had wild, brilliant minds. I started mentoring a few of them. Zoom calls late at night, problem-solving sessions that sometimes ran until dawn. There's something magical about helping someone see their own worth, Sometimes I'd see a bit of myself in their faces, hopeful, scared, determined. One twist I never expected was Ava. She took to this new life like a duck to water. One night, she built a model city out of blocks, wires, and leftover chips from my old toolbox, announcing she was going to make cars that listened to people's feelings. Matt watched her, pride and awe all mixed together, and whispered, she's got your spark. It hit me then. Family isn't just what you protect, it's what you grow. And Matt? For a while, he wrestled with guilt. Felt like he should have seen me sooner, fought harder for balance, for kindness in his own life. But bit by bit, he changed too. He let go of the need to control every outcome. He listened more, not just in meetings, but at home, helping Ava with homework, learning to cook Leo's favorite pancakes, and once, even showing up at a school science fair in a ridiculous, glittery bow tie, because Ava insisted he needed to sparkle like the robots. Yeah, that happened. The real turning point came during the company's annual summit. A public event this time, hundreds of people, press everywhere. Instead of the usual parade of suits and numbers, Matt invited one of the new scholarship kids to speak. A soft-spoken girl named Joy, who'd left school to care for her grandmother and was now developing her own navigation app. She stood up, voice shaking, and said, "You gave me back my dream." There wasn't a dry eye in the house. Matt closed the event with a simple truth. We succeed not because we're perfect, but because we give each other a chance to rise. After that, the noise died down a little. People moved on, as they always do. The headlines faded, but the changes stuck. In our little family, we kept building. Weekends at the park, movie nights, even a road trip up the coast with nothing but old playlists and a car that, thankfully, knew exactly where it was going. Leo grew stronger, walking without braces, dreaming of college again. Ava drew pictures of our family, with stick figures and wild, joyful scribbles. Matt and I learned to rest in the ordinary, and shared mornings and tired smiles at the end of long days. Sometimes I catch myself, late at night, thinking back to that pressure cooker boardroom, to the moment everything changed. I wonder if I'd do it all again, knowing the chaos that followed. And the answer's always yes. Because the real measure of success isn't what strangers say, but the peace you find in being seen for who you are. No headlines, no applause, just real, honest belonging. So let me ask you, would you risk comfort and privacy for the chance to build something better for yourself, for your loved ones, for the next generation watching from the sidelines? Where do you draw your line between ambition and home, between being noticed and being truly valued? Drop your answer below, because maybe, just maybe, your story's the next one someone needs to hear.